Pete Dog.
That's Malone. What's happening?
Late start for the day, way behind, but I went ahead and went live from the homestead. So we on. What's happening?
Nice. Just trying to turn shit to sugar out here, man. That's it.
That's how I start, dog. That's how I start.
We got cold weather. It's one of the rare opportunities I get to pay homage to Uncle Luke. Although usually it's too hot to pay. I don't know. I don't know how the fuck those guys ran around Miami wearing those jackets.
Man, that's how I start right there.
Oof.
Did you listen to that Sexy Red Bruno Mars record?
I listened to I think I listened to the whole thing. But a lot of it, yeah. It's very sexy.
Very sexy. I was talking to Head about this earlier. I was talking to DJ Head about this earlier. I can see why that record is not going to work as great as her other records work.
Oh yeah, that's not going to work.
And I had a theory on why it's not going to work.
Gotcha. I got a few.
Right. I think Sexy Red is such a like a street urban anomaly, like so pure in street urban culture, like it's just raw. Right. I think she's so raw culturally that when you try to take her to pop, it's too clean. And you could see all the flaws in what she does.
Yeah, and it's even like at that kind of Bruno Mars-y kind of beboppy tempo and shit like that, that also doesn't fit her real well either.
It's gonna sound crazy, but the Drake record that she put out, You're My Everything. That's the same problem.
Yeah.
It's the same problem. I think when she gets with a certain level of pop producer, again, because pop and Bruno Mars is one of the best to me at kind of, you know, as a pop record maker, like he is really good. Like him and Drake are really good at kind of taking urban sounds and cleaning it up just enough, cleaning it like, you know, scrubbing it just enough. You know what I mean? To where mainstream could digest it.
Sure. Here's the thing with Sexy. Sexy's known for doing it raw. That's her brand. So when she pairs with certain people that are cleaner like that, it feels not organic enough. It feels like, you know, they paid for it. Nobody wants to. No one's intrigued by watching a porno where it looks like, come on, they paid for it. Anyone can just pay for it. You know what I mean? I think it's sort of a parallel to that. She is the porn star of the genre. It just it seems too,
you know what,
mismatched.
I don't think it's that, right? I don't think it's that. I think she's not a professional. You know what I mean? I think she's still very raw, but I don't think she's quite a professional. You get what I'm saying? Like she's not a professional rapper quite. Like you could tell she's rap. You could tell she's rap songs, but she's not quite a professional, right? And it's like, if you put it with a professional record of the highest level, like a pop record where somebody is pretty much all the, like geometrically is perfect. Like pop is for sure in a way where it's perfect. There is no flaws. There is, you know, that's the thing about pop music is pretty much making it perfect. You know what I mean? And again, Bruno Mars and Drake are two of the best at taking street urban, you know, music and cleaning it up just enough so that mainstream can digest it, but it doesn't get that far away. You know, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, where like Taco Bell, like I don't think a Mexican person could eat Taco Bell and be like, I got my feel. You know what I mean? Like I got my, like I have a Jones for Mexican food and I go to Taco Bell and I get my Jones, right? Sure. So it's like, I don't think that can work, but I think they're like Kentucky Fried Chicken to where it's like, if you're a black person who grew up on soul food and you ate some Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's like, I'm okay. I'm okay. So I think because they clean it up too much, you know what I'm saying, or just enough, I should say, right? They're not Max Martin. You know what I mean? They don't.
Yeah.
Max Martin over scrubs it. You know what I mean? Like Max Martin just over scrubs it. He takes like Backstreet Boys is a funk band for the most part. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, but it's so goddamn scrubbed up. The bass lines be so scrubbed and everything is so clean that you damn near won't even think of funk when you hear it. Even though when I'm listening to it, like I'm like, man, this is funk. And the thing is, to me, like with a Sexy Red, she has success pretty early. I mean, she has been rapping. I think she put into the craft, but I don't think she got enough time to truly be a professional. Like, you know what I mean? Like to where, like, because Cardi B is the same way. Cardi B is the same way, where it's like Cardi B she was very much culturally just what it was. And then she got enough time rapping and, she spent enough time to just get it right. When Bruno caught her, it was just in time. And I think I don't know if it's because Sexy is not quite like rapping often. Like, I don't know how much she's rapping, but you could hear like the song is meant to be good. Like like she got the right things to market the record. Like Bruno was kind of putting himself out there. Like you could know Bruno was like he and the girls, like you could see like vagina, he talking about it raw. It's a great hook. The music is great. It's a great beat. Like it's together. It's a good record. You know what I'm saying? But it's like when you get to her parts, it's like it's rough and it's raw. And where hip hop beats traditionally, like that's okay. You could be raw on hip hop beats. You could just be raw. You don't gotta be extra polished. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be, right? It's like it becomes about being more cultural. I always tell Joey Westside this. Shout out to first off, this is No Ceilings Live, the lunch hour. Sorry we behind. I ain't even get a chance to put things in the description because I had to do it from the crib. You feel me? But again, No Ceilings Live, the lunch hour, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time. Right here, Digital Soapbox. Click the thumbs up. Let me know you in the house. We do this stream to support the No Ceilings podcast. The greatest hidden gem of podcasts is in the whole podcast space. You could actually check out the No Ceilings podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcast from. The No Ceilings podcast, executive produced by Charlamagne the God. Black Effect Network, and iHeart.
Is that a giant bong behind you? What the hell is that?
That's a
one of them coffee maker and a bong.
Yeah, mimosa thing.
What? The big glass thing?
Mimosa tower. Shout out to Knowledge is Power, BB, Robbie, Fats, Daddy O. What's the deal? JD, what's up? OG, much love. I appreciate you too. Fats, what up, boy? I seen your text this morning. I got to get to it. Name brand, what's the deal? We got to get on the line. V, what's up? Cornelius Tree, my boy, what's the deal? Squish, thank you for moderating. Joey, thank you for moderating. Malcolm, what's happening? Todd, fix your Twitter, Todd. Tia, what's the deal? Revenge, what's the deal, man? Shout out to everybody at the lunch table. Man, I was up for like 5 hours, probably from like 2 to 6, 7 reading. A lot of times this happens. But back to the point about Sexy Red. So I think she's not polished enough for pop records, and they're trying to cross her over. It's funny, there was a time in my career I remember, right? Like I had Certified was my first hit record. Certified is going to be gold this year, I think, like in the next 2 months, right? So that'd be my second gold record I ever got, right? But with Certified, I didn't know anything about records, right? Like I meet Toomp, DJ Toomp, who does, Wait Till I Get My Money Right, Good Life for Kanye, What You Know About That for T.I. Toomp got all these hit records. I meet Toomp at a DJ convention in LA, and he just knew who I was, and he wanted to work with me. And that was like the first time I got energy from a real producer, like a producer with hit records outside of my producer, which was Guido, right? But like this is like DJ Toomp got all the hit records. And he just knew who I was. He was like, man, come down to Atlanta, let's work.
Mm.
And, you know, I had the budget. So I go to Atlanta and I go to work. And he puts on some beats and I'm trusting him. I'm like, man, you just tell me what to rap to and I'm going to do what you saying. And he puts on a couple beats and I rap what ended up becoming Certified. And Akon calls me on the phone. Shout out to my big brother Cam from Watts, you know, who's on Digital Soapbox, got his show later on in the evening. He calls me like, hey, man, Akon just reached out to me and, you know, asked me, you know, how authentic, like people knew how authentic he was. He was confirming. So Akon calls me on the phone. He's like, hey, man, I'm finna come through. You in Atlanta? Let's do some records. I'm like, for sure. So he come through, green Lamborghini, jump on a hook, and it becomes Certified. This is my first hit record. It charts in the top 60 of all records. It's my first song, like on the charts in 2008.
Sure.
Right? So I accidentally get a hip-hop hit record. I get a hit record. Boom, accident. I have no idea how it happened. I don't know nothing about records. I just know how to talk this Los Angeles street urban talk. Right? Boom. They do all the rest of the work, mix it, everything. And it's a hit record. Now I'm starting to try to emulate what happened. I don't know how. So I'm using all of my resources. I'm signing Cash Money. So I'm doing songs with Wayne, doing songs with Stunner, doing songs with Rick Ross, doing songs with T-Pain, whatever. But none of the songs are working, right? Because I still don't understand what a record is. Like, I don't get what it is. It's a little more special. And it's a group that's coming up out of the Bay Area, these two white boys. And they're not quite popping yet. But I can hear the music that they're playing for me, and the music is fire. I'm like, damn, these white boys, it's a little poppy, but you could tell they got like a swag about themselves. I just thought that was unique. And they said, hey, man, Glasses, we got a record for you. We had you in mind. We tried to give it to somebody else, but they didn't like it, so we're going to give it to you still. And they press play. I bet you think because you see me on the TV that you know my whole life story. But let me tell you something you might not know. Fuck what you talking about, bitch. I get dope. And I remember thinking like, damn, that's dope. But it was hella poppy. It was like pop.
Mm.
And I don't know. So I just do the record. I'm like, whatever, bro. Y'all want to do a record for me? That I'm just grateful that somebody want to work with me, to me, that know more about music than I do. So I'm just happy. Like, y'all want to work with me. So I knock out the song. Well, the song ended up coming out really good. And it ended up being a really great record for me, right? But the problem is when it's time for the record to go into the space that it needs to change, you know, that it goes to become a smash hit record, radio station, you feel me? They looking at it like, I don't think they're going to be able to sell you as a pop star. So it mattered that the song was performing well. The fans loved it. It didn't make sense for the business of radio at that time because they didn't think that Cash Money would chase it with, you know, it's a pop record. So now you got to chase it at Kiss. That budget looks different. The type of promotion you need to get it to become a smash at Kiss, you know, shout out to Julie, who was the program director at Kiss. It was just going to be a different journey for Cash Money.
Sure.
So we don't end up pursuing that record fully, but it was a record that was performing as a pop record. So back to the point of where I'm saying with Sexy, I see they're trying to cross her over, right? They do the Drake record, you know, the You're My Everything, and they come back with the Bruno song. And I could tell Bruno produced the song. Like, I know that's a Bruno song. I can hear it.
Of course.
This is how dope I got at Records, Pete, now to where I can hear that Bruno made this song with her in mind. He knew what he was doing. But when they're trying to record her, I think the thing you would have to do a lot more work to locking her in place. Like, you'd have to cut, edit, move her vocals. You'd have to probably overwork her to get what you needed to have to make somebody that urban or that cultural come across just enough to be professional in pocket to make the record be his max. Now, again, this record is going to be a big record, just like the Everything record. It might hit maybe top 30. It might slip into the 30s or 40s on the pop charts, maybe even higher, depends on, because Bruno Mars saying pussy is just crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be a big deal. Bruno Mars and Sexy Red, two big brands. Again, Sexy Red is on the verge of doing full arenas. You know what I mean? So she got a great cultural thing going, and Bruno was just like a monster. But I think so. You're going to get a natural impact to everybody running the streaming because it's going to create a big conversation. Bruno Mars and Pussy, Bruno Mars on the song with Sexy Red, song, title, so forth and so on. It's like, okay, yes, this is going to create a stir. We're going to listen. But I think when people leave from hearing the record, I don't think enough people is going to be like championing the record. You know what I mean? Because it's not, she's bad. It's just she's hella cultured. So it's raw. It's still not clean enough to fit that to mesh and make the perfect record. And Bruno's record is like killing, great hook and everything. So I think, I think
to me, she's one of like maybe 3 artists I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's obviously more, but just front 3 that when they come onto a track, it is now their track. They become the center of gravity for the track. Sugar Free that way, Pimp C that way, Sexy Red's that way. He sounds out of place to me on his own track. By the time the song's through, he sounds like he doesn't belong there.
Yeah, but she just don't sound good as much as she dominates the record.
Sure,
she just don't sound good.
And as to the problem.
Well, yeah, but I think when she's by herself or when she's with another huge cultural phenomenon, like let's say a Glorilla, right? It's going to work because that's like just the culture and all its rawness with the production, you know, at a professional raw
like
level.
The song she did with Chopper or whatever. That works. You know, for sure.
So again, it's like with Bruno, it might be a little clean. So I think it has to have an initial impact. I'm interested to see how long it's gonna last. I think it gets a day or two. I don't think it's quite a week worth. I think it's a day or two.
Yeah.
And then people streaming, and then with their audience on streaming, right? It's gonna be people that's gonna go listen to it. But I think the kind of the results of it, like you're gonna get the streams to chart where you need to chart. They're gonna put
Mega Chicken has offended us.
Nah, it's all good.
Nobody I was kidding, man. I was kidding.
No, but so they'll have the initial impact of the record streaming, right? People will stream the record. Their fan bases that come together stream the record. Yeah. The Bruno Mars saying "pussy" is gonna have a certain impact. People, the controversy, the polarity of it all, of him saying the word "pussy," which is weird because he has a penis and he's a grown man, but people will go stream it. The title "Fat, Wet, and Juicy" or something like that, that is going to drive an audience.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I was watching the show Billions last night because I have no fucking life. So the guy makes a strategic reference to whatever, doesn't even matter. He's talking about, he says this is the first wave of Normandy, meaning you send a bunch of people out and they're just going to be sacrificed for the greater cause behind it. It almost sounds like Bruno is putting this thing out just to get himself center stage for a nanosecond to release better stuff at it from a better position of delivery. So maybe that's not the case, but that's what it seems like. It's like, let's get yourself we'll thrust you back into the conversation, and then we'll put out some songs that are really great songs because you've been away for a little bit.
No, definitely one of those. This is definitely gonna put him in a conversation for a while, but I think at a certain place, it's like, I think this is a record that probably goes maybe to 30 or 40. It depends on what Gamma and Atlantic do once they deal with the lashback of it all. Are they committed to working the song? You know what I mean? Because I don't think they're gonna quite get what they want. So. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna quite get what they want out of the first week.
I think they're going to capitalize on the temporary controversial spotlight to release more signature tracks of his own.
Okay. So, but okay, this is the point of what I'm saying. This is kind of why I titled the stream is Hip Hop in Trouble. And
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I know. I just put it. I didn't even get a chance to put the description.
I mean, it's an inch and a half away from where I'm looking. I should have probably seen it in a half hour's time. That's on me.
It's all good. It was good timing. Good timing. So I was reading some things last night. I sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm reading a bunch of stuff. It's a lot of pressure on me right now. Like I really went through a lot to get to this position. I sacrificed a lot of time. I sacrificed my 30s to know the stuff that I know, to really make the best out of this opportunity that we call hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And my time is limited, and it's not because of anything outside of hip hop. Is not a big enough platform for me to tell the stories. Like as far as the art that's traditional.
Sure.
The art that's traditional. So it's limited time, but I was doing some researching and some reading, and I was thinking to myself, like hip hop in its inception. I was talking to my homegirl El Janelle before I jumped on the stream, and I was explaining to her, like, for some reason we see hip hop as this thing that's about sampling. But if you go into the first era of producers and the first era of record labels, they didn't sample.
Yeah, not every song's a sample.
Huh?
Not every song's a sample.
It was 79. Remember, Sugar Hill was not a sample, right? They played that. The Message, they played that. Planet Rock, they played that. Too Short is 84, they played it. You know, a lot of the records were just played. You know what I mean? They played them with bands and electronic, you know, electric, you know, electronics, electronic instruments. Marley Marl kind of defines how we see hip hop, or why it's celebrating, right? That style of sampling. He is pretty much the father of it. And what made me think is hip hop in trouble is, right, hip hop has always been dominated by the production company making deals with major record companies, right? So whether it's, you know, Curtis Blow being signed to Mercury, whether it's Sylvia Robinson making a deal with the Levy and the guys she made deals with to distribute those records. Houdini having a deal, right? But they always had it where they controlled the production. I think when we don't have the independent label, the culture is always, like, how the culture is delivered is always in jeopardy. You get what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Because if you ask corporate America, if you ask corporate America, to identify what's sellable, they don't know. They don't know.
Yeah, that's evident in the model. Otherwise, they'd cut out the middleman.
They don't know, and that's the point. So it's like, today it's hard for an independent record business to carry the burden of hip hop. Like, it's hard because of where the economy is. Like, you would need to rewrite a business model for the modern economy of hip hop, because right now it's solely in the hands of major corporations. Right? Like, who would be the independent record label, right? Who would be the independent record label right now? Who is Def Jam today?
Sure. I couldn't tell
Remember, you know, like, it's cool that Def Jam partnered with Columbia, right? But Rick and Russell was, you know, putting out records on a label that was doing fine, and then they made a deal to distribute their records.
Yeah. And I mean, to an extent now, it's like you don't need physical hardware manufacturing. So it should be easier in theory.
Well, that makes it difficult, right? Shout out to Revenge, shout out to Lena. They said TDE. TDE is somewhat, but it's just different, right? It's like, but they are an independent record label, but, you know, again, it's like, it used to be a lot of those.
Yeah, well, that is the economy right now in general. I've cited 1,000 times. however many years ago, there were, 20 some years ago, for every one merger and acquisition, there were 7 IPOs. Now it's inverted. It's for every one IPO, there's 7 mergers and acquisitions. So you get big capital infusions for early stage apps. That's why Instagram is owned by Meta. That's why YouTube is owned by Alphabet, etc. If they stood independently on their own just a little bit longer to hit that critical mass, they could stand on their own 2 feet, but the money comes, you take it. It's true with music too.
So I'm thinking about it, right? And like in this situation where I'm looking at Gamma and Atlantic, they're trying to cross Sexy Red over.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're trying to cross.
They're trying to
Sexy
turn
Red
a hoe
over.
into a housewife.
Yes. That's exactly what's happening. And
it might be time to take a second out on the house and get her to come in for the remix, for the verse on the remix. Pay whatever it takes. We'll get the money back in a year.
No, I'm serious. I've just been thinking about that a lot lately. Like, how do you create an independent? How do you create an independent business with today's model? Like, it was different when it was the record company, right? Because you sold the records out the trunk. It was a product. Now it's kind of like you have to rewrite the record industry. You have to rewrite the independent hip hop company's business. True. Like, even if we talking about like Top, right? And we talking about TDE, like they said, TDE. I don't quite know how much TDE makes off of Rayvon or people. I don't know if Rayvon is signed, but I don't know what TDE makes off people who aren't signed to labels.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't quite know what TDE makes off people not signed to labels. Go ahead.
I need to shout out Michael Love for the gifted 10 Digital Soapbox Network memberships. I understand the principle, but I'm not in the YouTube interface, so I still don't know how to execute it or really what it. I kind of have an idea what it is, but I really don't know what it is. Still, I'm so freaking slow that I'm going to have to go get onto the YouTube app on my own device and figure out what the hell is actually happening over there. I don't know what the fuck it is. Just Michael Love for just the sake of it. We're doing this in what's this thing called? StreamYard? Sure. So we see the YouTube and X comments, at least for me. So I see that come up, but since I'm not over there, I don't really know I'm not in YouTube to be able to translate. That's the only reason why. It's on me. It's not anybody else but me.
But I don't quite know what Top is making off an independent artist today. Like, I think that's a different challenge. Remember, like somebody like somebody like Doechii is signed to a major record company with Top. So like they're still, able to, the partnership is whatever the partnership is, versus if Top had to take an artist in 2025 when you can't sell records and iTunes are not being pushed. I would imagine he has, like I said, I thought I gave him a lot of credit because they developed their own culture during the blog era. Like, I'm probably the harshest critic of the blog era. Like the harshest critic. I really, truly hate the blog era. Like Monday, I'm probably going to do a whole discussion on how much I hate the blog era. Yeah. I'm going to give Pete some time to figure it out. Or maybe it's a podcast on how much I hate the blog era. Like I don't think no one hates the blog era as much as I hate the blog era. Because the blog era took hip hop out of the hands of the street as far as what we wanted to represent us and put it into the hands of, different people who didn't probably have the same street urban experience because of college and technology, and then the following of the people that were following blogs.
It really ran the whole process through an intermediary of like manufacturing consent principled, like people who are illiterate in what they're critiquing. You know what I mean? And then telling the people what's good and what's bad, and they're believing it because so-and-so's a prolific blogger. He knows what he's talking about. He does not know what he's talking about, and I know that because he's a prolific blogger.
Well, it's just hard because it's like, I was talking to Elle about this earlier, and she was in the comments, and I'm like, we were talking about the difference between GNX and Good Kid, Mad City, and she felt, back to that conversation, she felt that I liked GNX because it was West Coast, and I'm like, that don't make sense. Like, right? It's like Rock La Familia is not Jay-Z's best album. Again, because hip hop is a street urban cultural movement. I think the goal is to give off street urban cultural experiences, you know what I mean, of that you're expert in.
Yeah, like Miss Tia says, and I'm assuming she means reference to the bloggers. Like, you have to allow people to give their opinion. That's fine. But it's become a situation where it's now similar to, like, say, for example, you watch, like you watch a political debate, and then afterwards, whoever's on the TV station you're watching, like, translates what you just saw and heard.
Mm-hmm.
So people's opinions are being manipulated by, like, platforms of authority that don't have
enough cultural experience. Yeah, they don't have the cultural experience. It's why the Source got it wrong with the West Coast all the time.
Yeah, and a lot of the South too for a little while.
They didn't have a choice. Like, unless they had writers, right, that were culturally informed on this specific street urban culture, then certain things said could go by them. It wouldn't make sense to them.
Yeah.
That's
why, and it was a fine album at the time, but
yeah,
the Grammy was given to Onyx over the Chronic.
Yeah, because they didn't get it. If you ask a person from New York, and this is kind of where it becomes important. You know what I mean? I keep using this term, street urban culture. And Elle, shout out to Lace Media, that's Elle Janelle. She said, but someone can say that about they do say that about podcasts. Yeah. Podcast mics. That's the funniest joke going. But again, it's like if I was to write an article on Illmatic, it wouldn't be as great of article as The Source did. The Source are more vested in that street urban culture.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me yesterday, what would Illmatic be to me? And I'm like, probably 3.5 mics. I wouldn't be the person to tell you because I am not vested in the street urban culture. So in a situation like Illmatic, where there's not really great records to me, on great records, like there's some great songs, it's great emceeing, it's a very great representation culturally of what we're saying. You know what I'm saying? But I would have gave Illmatic 3.5 mics. I didn't get it because culturally, I don't understand what the fuck is happening in Queensbridge. I don't get the lingo. I don't get it. And this is something that is important in the conversation of why I'm saying is hip hop in trouble. Because it's like, if you could look at a record like let's say GNX, for example, GNX is taking more critique because it's a West Coast album, even though it's coming from a guy who grew up his whole life in Compton. Like, that now is a critique. That's how they criticize the album. Oh man, it's just you only saying it's dope because it's West Coast. Well, I didn't think Blueprint was only dope because it was East Coast, or I didn't think 400 Degrees was only dope because it was, that Mardi Gras jazz. I didn't think Kanye West, College Dropout was dope because it was R&B based. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's standard. I think hip hop always should be true into culture that you're an expert in or have knowledge of. Like, I don't know. I was telling Elle, I don't know if I want to hear somebody Compton make an album about Chicago. Like, imagine somebody from Compton go move to Chicago and then they make a drill album 2 weeks later based off of what they learned in rap songs and the 2 weeks of experience of living in Chicago. I don't quite think I want that person to give me what's going on with my brothers and sisters in Chicago. I don't think I would trust that information.
Yeah. I mean, you have to almost do it through the prism of, like, presenting it to a Compton audience as to what the discernible differences are, but you couldn't just make it about what it is in general, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, I
And
think this is outside of proving my work thoroughly, like showing your work when you're doing math. Like, I've showed my work to get to this space of hip hop being street urban culture personified through the arts and elements. It's not a fact, but it is what it is based off the historical accuracy of everything I'm saying. This is how it's digested at the highest level and at the greatest moments. It's the street urban's perspective. Historically, it's always been, right? And I think we're in a space now, right, where, because people are trying to appeal to a mass of people coming together, like it's almost like the Tower of Babel, where it's a bunch of people building a tower up, trying to get to Jesus. So they act like we on one accord. We're on one accord, right? It's like we all understand. No, I am not arrogant enough. I don't care how much Do or Die I listen to, Twist I listen to, Common I listen to, Lupe Fiasco I listen to, drill rap I listen to, any artist in Chicago. I do not feel like I am aware of what's going on in street urban culture in Chicago. I have a very skewed perspective based off entertainment in limited time there, right? That's why I don't walk around feeling like I understand what the fuck is happening in Chicago. I don't care how many drill records I listened to over the last 11 years. Kanye, I've been listening to Kanye damn near 20 years. I don't fucking know. But hip hop creates this sense of entitlement. It has been creating a sense of entitlement in the fans to where they really think they know what the fuck is going on. Like, I love Scarface. Scarface is probably like, man, I can't tell you about the boys from Port Arthur. I can't tell you about Scarface, Zero, different people I listen to, but I do not think I know what's going on in Houston. I've been out there a lot of times. I've been to New York a lot of times. I've been to New York so many times at this point. I was in New York for months and months at a time. I've been in New York a lot of times, and I've digested so much hip hop from the Mecca. I do not have any fucking idea of what's going on in New York, street urban culture. Yeah, I know they say son be kid. Yeah, I don't know if that's what they saying now. Yeah, they wore Timberlands. I don't quite know, you know what I'm saying, if they wearing Timberlands now. But I think hip hop is in trouble because there is this sense of entitlement from not even just the suburbanites that's digesting it, not just bloggers who feel like they actually have any idea what's going on, but also because the cultures itself really think they know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to the fact there are two distinctly different types of hip hop consumers that are looking for two completely different experiences. There's one that's looking for a cultural experience, and there's one that's looking for a musical experience and a good time and whatever else. And that's true. So,
I mean, it's fair because you buying a record. Yeah, it's fair because you're buying a record.
You play it in the club, and people aren't looking for a culture experience at the club. They want to have some drinks, some dances, and some pussy.
Yeah, but what I think is it's funny, me and L, we need to get L on this podcast next week. We'll have her come on the stream next week, not the podcast, on the stream. But sure. I was telling her that it's like, if we think this is about good music, man, this hip hop music ain't that fucking good.
Sure, I'm talking about that's a problem too.
But that's not a problem. The only problem is when you're confusing what the job here is. It's not a problem. It's only a problem if you're confusing what the job is. See, if you think the job is going out to make the best music, then you got the fucking wrong job. You need to go to pop music. You need to go to jazz. You need to go to fucking R&B. That's not what this is about. Because if it was about the best music, hip hop wouldn't even have legs to stand on. It wouldn't have legs to stand on. It's like me and El was talking about it. It's out of a sampler. It's celebrated for being out of a sampler, where it's a bunch of shit that really don't be in key. You know what I'm saying? Bunch of drums. You put these drums with this melody, this dumbass melody and you stick them all together. That's like thinking soul food is good food. Soul food ain't good food. Good food, good means healthy. Good means like, what's the word for good?
Depends on good. It does that. That's another good example. There's healthy and there's tasty, and they don't tend to overlap very often.
Like the quality.
Sure. But at the same time, it's like
you could like it, but good is a reference of something greater. Again, mine is coming off, Pete, forgive me. I don't mean to cut you. Mine is coming off the like we have to come to object, like good should be nutritious. Shout out to Don Dub. That's what good is, nourishing. That's the point of food originally. Now, again, when people take circumstances, the best things they have, and then they actually make it work, that's honorable. And it could have a flavor and you could like it. You know what I'm saying? But good should still be in the sense of nourishing. So back to the point of what I'm saying with hip hop as the music, right? It's never really been good. It's been cultured. It's soul food. It's seasoned. Hip hop is soul food.
But I don't think that its consumption is by and large predicated on people trying to soak up culture.
Not disagree, but I'm telling you.
So we have perpendicular interests.
But even that's not true, Pete. Subconsciously, we don't know that's what we're going for. We don't go to hip hop for music. That's just all we know. Like I used to didn't know the difference, Pete. Like I would listen to like when I used to listen to Dr. Dre like it was the greatest music in the world. When I heard G-Thang, I'm like, man, this shit blew my mind. I cannot believe how great this is. Man, this motherfucking G-Thang, this is musical genius. Until I heard Leon Haywood, I want to do something freaky to you. I was like, oh, this is actually great. This right here is a watered down version of, forgive me, Dre, don't cuss me out, because you know what I'm saying, because you didn't grow as a musician. Nigga, Dre cuss a nigga out. I'm not saying because like I thought G-Thang was dope until I heard Leon Haywood, I want to do something freaky to you. And I was like, oh no, this is good music.
That's still a different metric.
No, it's not. It's actually, it's not a metric. It's not a metric. This is just music. This is like food being
the metric.
Okay, on the same premise that food is nutritious. Not preferable, not preference.
Again, those are two different metrics.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying on
one's ideal, the other one is actual.
So I'm not mad at that, and I'm not saying it's not desirable. Like but I'm telling you, if hip hop understands, like I've told you this, right? Comics realized they stopped selling jokes. Shout out to the homie Lance Woods from Sacramento, live in the city now, doing his thing. Funny comedian. Somebody just hopped on the stage. Lance look like he's ready to kill his bitch. Whole nother story, right? But when comics understand that they're selling funny, not jokes, they work better.
Sure.
When hip hop understands it's selling culture and not music or raps, it works better. It's a more successful business.
I don't know that to be true.
It's true. I can back it up with facts. I can show it to you on paper. I can show you the most successful things are the most cultural things. I can show you the things that are built in just great music are the least successful things. Shout out to El Janelle. She said, I get what you're saying. I just don't like it. I know it sucks. I forgive me. But again, we're having an intelligent conversation. El, and me and P had these conversations all the time. But it's important that hip hop knows what is selling.
It's the most danceable music of its era. They don't play R&B when a stripper needs to dance by herself on a stage. That's not the most dancing in a city on a Friday night. Isn't happening to R&B music as much as it probably should be. It's happening at hip hop clubs. Like those are facts. And the most successful singular albums might have the most culture, but they have the most culture relative to the music. and the aggregate of consumption is higher on the music side of the index than the culture side. There are songs that have worse music, more culture that like
They sell the best.
no, they don't.
Yeah, that's why Sexy Red is doing Coliseums.
Sexy
Arenas.
Red, if Sexy Red didn't have beats by somebody who's demonstrably successful prior to her,
the fact that you referenced it as beats, Pete, we would never call real music beats. If I played you some Beethoven, man, play that Beethoven beat again.
that's not what I'm saying.
You missing why? You missing. I get it. Okay. I'm gonna shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'm shut the fuck up. You
No, go
shout
on.
out to Sherry. What up, Sherry? Hey, y'all, females are keeping hip hop afloat for sure. They are doing heavy lifting. Shout out to the females of hip hop for doing all the damn heavy
because
lifting.
they're injecting all kinds of stuff that's lighter than water, so they are strategically floating.
Shout out to Dr. Love. Thank you for the $5, my boy. I appreciate that, man. Buying us some lunch, man. That's player.
If
Hip
I
hop
find
is not in
myself on
trouble.
a ship that is going down, I am grabbing a BBL for dear life until
It's a buoy.
emergencies, services show up.
BBL stands for buoy. It's buoy. Shout out to Dr. Love. Thank you for the $5. Hip hop is not in trouble. Us in the South like to party and have fun. That's what kind of music we make, ass shake and party, and we like to have a good time. We started that, Dr. Love. All our shit is about partying and having a good time. The West Coast, we was doing that a long time ago. Here's a perfect example. Eazy-E made for a better artist because of his culture. That's true. He was hella culturally savvy. Real Aaron Collins, Rappers Trash, they ain't that bad, Aaron. Come on, man. Jesus Christ, Aaron.
I mean, you could counter the Eazy-E thing with my man with the jacket.
And shout out to Revenge. Elvis is more successful at lacks culture. That's not true. So again, Elvis is like what you get when you take Taco Bell. Elvis is like King Taco is better Mexican food than obviously Taco Bell could ever be. But Taco Bell is more digestible. So there's more restaurants of Taco Bell all around the world. It's not more successful because it lacks culture. It's more successful because it's an emulation of culture that people can digest. Well, I guess that is the same thing. I'm not mad at that. I'll take that. It definitely is. It definitely is a very weird kind of version of culture.
Sherry, I'm not disrespecting female hip hop. I'm disrespecting BBLs. I'm the biggest Sexy Red fan walking.
He is. Shout out to El Janelle Lace Media. I think it's true for the music business, but not as an art critique. And I think hip hop as an art is valid. Shout out to the homie Tree, who always got the stuff. Music is just music. Culture is closed food conversation. Culture is also music and art, Tree. That's part of it. That's one of the elements of it.
Yeah. Culture is a lot of things.
Shout out to El Janelle. Y'all try to invalidate it with the business side. Not at all. Not at all. It's just when you start talking about it in a way. Yeah.
Is it music or is it culture?
Shout out to my dog, Sharice. Thank you for the $10 on that lunch for us. Like that. Like, thumbs up, please. Thanks, and subscribe. Thank you, Sharice. I appreciate you a lot.
She's the greatest.
It's like I like that. That's rap. But buoy lifesaver. That's what a BBL stands for. Facts. Save your life.
There you go.
I mean,
sure, you might be wrong from time to time.
Shout out to my brother Mars. What's up, Mars? We in the house is doing the thing. So again, it's like I think hip hop is only in trouble because we're entitled to it at this point. We had a podcast on this. It's a sense of entitlement. When I actually get off of this thing, I'm gonna go find that link and put that link in here where like I'm talking about people that are entitled to this thing, and we all feel like we all are aware of each other's shit, even within the culture. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to notice that, and I just went back and I was studying all the first records, how much heavy lifting, Sylvia Robinson and Sugar Hill Gang had to do. Flash and the Five, Mel, Houdini, Shout out to the Treacherous 3, Mo D. Just the heavy lifting, Too Short, just the heavy lifting. You know what I'm saying? The heavy lifting, you know, when they couldn't get to the charts. When really it's funny you said that, L. The first record that became a chart-topping pop hit, you know, not just top 40, but in the top 10 was when they sampled Rock This Way, when Rick sampled Rock This Way and they made, you know, the Run DMC version. They didn't even think that was going to be a big song. And it's funny because I hate that damn song.
Yes.
I hate Rock This Way. I love, what's the other one? Is it Rock Box? I think it's called Rock Box. I love Rock Box and I hate Rock This Way. But that's like I hate Taco Bell. Like I love real Mexican food and I hate Taco Bell.
Sure. Likewise.
I love real fried chicken. I hate Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I never understand. Like that is a consumer mentality that is so broad spanning. I cannot understand it at all. I do not understand why when people go to a new city, the first thing they do is find a food chain that they're familiar with from the city they just left to go eat at. I don't get that. I don't understand. Like, I want a taco. Let's go to Taco Bell for a taco. I don't get that. I do not get. If you want a thing, go get the thing. Don't get half the fucking thing.
And this is what I'm telling the Tree. This is what I'm saying to the homie Tree, because like, you got to understand hip hop is culture, even through using music as a medium. So when you look at Sexy Red, you like, well, Sexy Red is not that dope. You know what I'm saying? But that motherfucker is cultural. That motherfucker so salty. Yes, she is. That's like saying greens are not good, but it's preferred. It's preferred because it reminds you of something innate inside of you that's there that you're familiar with, and it's something that people really, it's like soul food. Like people just admire that. You know what? You know, look what they did with them pig intestines. They, you know, they didn't, you know, they could have starved, but they took the pig intestines, cuz, and they rocked that shit up, cuz, and brought shit back.
Intestine tacos at Tacos Mexico in downtown LA.
It's called tripas.
Yeah, they got the tripas tacos. Like, that's my thing though. Like, this lady's name's L, who's Laced Media.
Yeah,
because they're hungry and they know what they're gonna get. Then why leave? Then why leave town?
Great point. Shout out to Dr. Love. Shout out to Dr. Love. Thank you for the $5. Is the West Coast gonna capitalize off the momentum they got? Is any other artist not named Kendrick gonna pop? I don't think that's the point of it is, right? I think this is weird space where everybody like, oh, you know, can it be a movement? It's like, that's not kind of the point, right? The win is with one of us winning. Like, it don't mean everybody else got to win. Like, when one of us win.
And he's hard to kind of replicate. Like if YG like had a hit that just like blew the living fuck up, he's a little easier, I would say, for other people to like ride that wake a little bit. Kendrick wake is very difficult for most artists to successfully probably ride anywhere. Just my take.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's not a wave. Like, again, and this is why I'm saying this back to culture. Like, we call it a West Coast sound. That's not really true. Like, we used to this term sound. It makes us feel comfortable. But it's more than that, right? It's the movement of things. Like, hip hop is the movement of culture, because even Quick and Dre shit didn't sound the same. Warren shit didn't sound the same. Can you make something, you know what I mean, that's culturally true, right, and then capture the world's attention? It's a tough challenge today. You know what I mean? It's not like it used to be 30 years ago. There wasn't 100 records. It might have been 20 hip hop records that came out in 1992 or 93. You know what I mean? Total. So that was the only street urban culture, right? That was the only street urban culture. What up, Money? That was the only street urban culture you got in 1992 was the Chronic. Sure. There was no other way to get Compton in 1992 except renting Boys in the Hood, and you'll get Compton for 4 minutes, or listening to an old NWA album or a King T album. Like, that was it. There was no other way to get Compton. So when the Chronic came out, you got Compton right then and there. That was the only way. Now, you know what I mean? You don't gotta listen. So you get Compton right now with Kendrick, and the West is this, and the West Coast, and a pop out. But guess what? You could go on YouTube, bro, and stream Rick Rock. You could go on YouTube and stream the homies, the community. Shout out to Pun. Cousins from Southside Compton. AD is from Lantana Block. That's all in Compton. You can go right there and get the culture straight from them. You don't got to wait for Glasses Malone to make an album. You can go stream it.
Yeah. I wanted to just real quick, Revenge said the internet did make us entitled, but I do feel like you. Glasses could identify NYC street culture simply based on a quick video. I think that's kind of the difference. Like, but I was projecting what I believe Glasses' perspective to typically be. It's like he's very granular. Like a lot of people, a lot of consumers are content with a 1,000-foot view. He is not going to be content with a 1,000-foot view. He wants a 2-inch view to feel like he understands predicates behind predicates behind predicates that make what's happening at the street level happening the way that it's happening in that moment. Not just like, oh, I see that it's happening. That's not really good enough for him, typically, just based off of the way I usually hear him explain stuff. Is that fair?
Yeah. Like, again, I don't feel like you're right. I don't feel like I know it because I see some shallow peaks of it, some simple identifying points of it. I don't feel like, oh, I know it. You know, I'm not that retarded. Like, I really feel like you got to know something to know. You know what I mean? Like, not just any of that stuff, but you really got to know it to know it. I wouldn't feel like I'm entitled to say I know something just because I know that. Shout out to my G homie Money, man. Money is a solid player, man. I appreciate you, Money. Thanks for tapping in. What up, Glasses? Jap Pop here. Lace Media. Taco Bell is a great analogy of why I stick with only West Coast gangster music. I know what I'm getting because he grew up culturally, so he understands the attitude and know it's true. He knows exactly what they're talking about. And even if it's not true to per se the artist, like you don't have to believe Ice Cube to understand that's the mentality of the 111s, the neighborhood 111 Crips. So we're aware and we like that is their mentality. You would hear stories about a lot of their homies going out of town to get rich. They had some of the best lowriders in the city. They had some of the best lowriders in the city. Like, so you know they went and made money. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, culturally, that's why I'm saying it shouldn't be up to me to judge Illmatic. I don't fucking know what's happening. Like, people keep saying judging on a musical level. What music? I listen to Marvin Gaye. Like, my second favorite album of all time is Marvin Gaye, I Want You. How the hell am I going to listen to Illmatic on a musical level and get some music out of it? What are you talking about? Like, I ride around all day listening to Hall & Oates. How the hell am I going to hear musical brilliance in Illmatic? No, I need to understand culture to understand why this feels this way, what this means, this sample. Like, when y'all hear Knee Deep, right? When y'all hear Dre Day, right? Fuck with Dre Day, the song where Dre and Dog was dissing Eazy-E and Luke and all of them. Y'all just hear a song. Hey, this song is jamming. And then you realize he's talking about Eazy-E. Then you realize he's talking about Luke or Tim Dog. To us, it's a whole cultural movement. Knee Deep is like the biggest song at a gangster party. Funkadelic Knee Deep, the song that they sampled to make that song. It's a different connection culturally to us. It's different. It's not some music. It is a movement, and hip hop is a movement. It's a cultural movement. It's different. It's different. You got to think like these things mean more. They're not just songs. It's like Knee Deep is like, that was a song that people used to bang on at parties. Like, that's the thing. That's the movement. Like, it's no, when you hear Juicy and then you realize, you know what I mean, where the artists come from, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's just different. And I think this is the point that I'm proving through math all the time. Like, I'm proving through math and I'm rarely not proving it through math. So shout out to I Am Miss Tia Malone. You're not always right. this is not my opinion. It's not my opinion. Like, I don't really have an opinion. I don't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion.
Like, from a process standpoint, it's like you say, like, historically throughout hip hop, you look at an album, you have your tracks on the album that are designed to be singles. They're more musically defined. And then you have your other tracks, like even like Tupac, I think in the videos talking about that. You got to put out these couple songs to get people listening to the stuff. And then your content that you want to be able to convey to people, and a message standpoint, you put on the other tracks down below it. So whether the songs compared to other genres might be more or less musical, probably less, compared to other songs within the same genre, the ones that are consumed at a greater scale are the ones that are more musically inclined.
Yeah. Shout out to Mario, who asked this interesting question. What do you mean, G? Do you mean hip hop is meant for regional consumption as opposed to mass consumption?
That is an interesting concept.
No. I don't think it's meant for regional consumption. I think it's appreciated differently when you understand the nuance of what's happening in the art.
And Chris Mullen, Chris Mullen says bulks don't listen to Marvin or Stevie anymore. I'm just giving him a hard time. I know, I'm just teasing him because his name Chris Mullen.
Chris Mullen. Shout out to I am Miss Tia. Music. I love all coasts. Enjoy good. Me too. Like I don't. Again, I'm not saying I don't enjoy. That same year, I might didn't really care for Illmatic because I didn't get it, but I understood kind of what Wu-Tang was, or I understood what the LL Cool J record was. Mama Said Knock You Out, that album that Maul did. So I like when I just enjoy it, I enjoy it. But again, there are certain things that I am not going to understand about that music if it's truly like a cultural movement. There's a nuance that's happening that I am not going to be abreast on.
Sure.
It's just different, you know what I mean? And I think when hip hop understands that it sells culture more than it sells music, then you can have the resurgence you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I love all music. I love 400 Degrees is one of my favorite albums. Like, it's not that I don't love the music, but I don't understand everything he's saying. And there's no way possible if you grew up in Los Angeles, you could totally understand everything that Juvenile is talking about. It's just impossible.
The question is, how much do you need to understand to what degree of understanding is necessary, and to what degree of understanding is required or, demanded.
And you see it a lot with an artist like E40. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you don't quite get what's happening culturally the further you go east.
Sure.
Like, you don't quite get what's happening. It's not like the music is not as good as any other hip hop music. It's just so cultured. It's so flavored. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's like, that's what makes me worried about hip hop, right? Like, where Sexy Red is having like this incredible run because he's such a cultural phenomenon, right? But then they're trying their best to cross her over, right? Which is fine, you try stuff, and they're trying to cross her over, but like I can see, right?
Idea.
And maybe I can see it because they released it. Maybe if I'm on the other end of when it's happening, it's different. But I would have heard that song and be like, nah, that's not it.
Sure.
I'm like, nah, that's not, don't do that. Like, that shouldn't be a single. So that means it probably shouldn't be on a record. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be on a record, bro.
No, I agree. I mean, like, there's certain cases where that works and certain ones where it doesn't. I think they're just They feel like, oh, there's enough attention here to be monetized. We need to scale it. Some things don't scale that well.
Yeah. And again, like it's a raggedy point. Like I don't want to.
Daniel Walters.
Huh?
It's funny. That song came out when I was staying in Oakland.
Oh, tell me when to go.
And that was such an Oakland thing. Like, it would, to me, when I was up there, I felt like that would be the equivalent of somebody from Riverside doing a song about Crippen in South Central, just because you got a big name. Because Vallejo's out there. It's not in the mix. It is ish. And I want to, knock people from, like, I lived there for a couple of years. I passed through Vallejo. I never, like, on the way beyond that. You know what I mean? And, like, even, like, there was a lot of guys from up there in the North Bay that did a lot of great music. They disproportionately put out music up there like I couldn't believe. You had, like, the Federation. You had Mac Dre. You had all those guys. I can't understand how that North 80 produced all that music. But it really was a long way from feel-wise from East Oakland.
Well, if you really think about it, Dre is from Vallejo.
Mac Dre.
Yeah, right. So it's like, but again, but I get what you're saying. Like, but that's like us. Like, the biggest records in LA at that time were the Federation records.
Yeah.
Like, but to the world, the 40 and short records. But the more you on the West, you get the Fabby records, you get the Federation records, you get the Keek records. The Keek records were like,
bro,
like cultural bombs, like cultural nuclear weapons. You know what I mean? Like,
that was the biggest thing ever. When Super Hyphy came out, he had been locked up for a little bit. I remember when KMEL dropped this song. I was listening to KMEL when they debuted the song in real time on International and High at a red light. This is when I first heard the song, when they first played it. Everybody at the intersection was listening to that song or turned to KMEL when it started playing, and the intersection collapsed into like some sort of state of societal coup. Like, everybody's people are out of cars, people gas breaking and dipping through the intersection. You couldn't get through the intersection. It was like a radio song released. Everybody, and it was on the radio. It wasn't people had downloaded it. They weren't listening to it on their shit. It was windows down, gas breaking and dipping, cars rocking because people were going dumb inside the cars. I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that you think that happened in Los Angeles, which is 4 hours away, and culturally ties somewhat to the Bay, 4 or 5 hours away. You think everybody in LA stopped at Crenshaw and was like, oh, this shit came on, and they was hopping out the car? No chance. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, bro. Like, you gotta, like, all of y'all in hip hop, you gotta understand what this is for it to truly have a chance to elevate to where rock is. It could either go where rock is going or it could go where jazz is going.
Sure.
It's going to be one or the other.
And where's rock going? I think rock is going where jazz is going, or where jazz went.
Yeah, but rock still has a different base of things happening. You know what I mean? There's still new rock acts coming out every day. We're watching country kind of try to push its way into, like, to popular music.
I feel it's the opposite. I feel rock has lost so much of its traction that it's trying to sidle into the country scene and fan base.
It's trying to be more niche, and country is trying to push. Again, we saying the same thing, but I'm saying, but rock had a different run when it was over. Like, right? Like, look at what happened to jazz. Jazz was the most popular music in the country at one time.
Probably in the world. Like, I mean, there was a quarter century period of time where that was significant, globally was monstrous. I mean, it seriously changed global music from out of the 300-year orchestra era.
So I'm just worried that, like, again, I'm just worried that people don't see what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, I'm worried that scares me. And that's why I think it's in trouble, because this is an opportunity for us to teach the world about what we got going on, like our lifestyles. And if you think it's just music, then you're going to forsake it. You know what I mean? It's why like we have an opportunity, right? Like, people can make Mexican food at home, but they don't think they're Mexican. Like, that's how hip hop needs to be. Like, you got to know that, yeah, you could like the rap songs and you could actually make you a rap, but that don't mean you hip hop. Right now, it still feels like it's this open and up for grabs thing. And I think that's what happened to jazz. I think jazz became just a genre and people just playing a saxophone over pop music. Right? People just playing a saxophone over pop music. I think that's what happened.
I think some of jazz, I think like the real jazz, it bifurcated badly. So you had the Kenny G jazz come in at the same time that you had like John Coltrane and some of those guys. They got so avant-garde that it was really hard. Like, have you ever listened to like Love Supreme or Ascension? Like, have you listened to John Coltrane's Ascension?
Of course.
You have to be on, like, I can listen to, I like it, but that is not easily consumable music. You know what I'm saying? That is way out there.
Shout out to El Janelle. You know what? Every time I think about it, I do sound like the Trump of hip hop.
The Trump of hip hop is crazy.
I'm not lying, bro. I swear to God, like, I was like, damn, am I turning into the Trump of hip hop, bro? I don't know if that's good or bad. Like, no lie, I be feeling like that, but I feel like that's the only way. Oh my God. It's the only way this thing can survive.
Yo, listen, I called you that time, bro. I said, Joe, what they called you? They called you the dictator. The dictator.
Oh my God.
They have DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. He's the Department of Rap Efficiency. The door.
Oh my God.
He's the door of perception.
Yeah,
I'm turning into Trump, cuz.
The Trump of hip hop.
Oh,
that might ring. That might ring right there, B. That might be a ring. You might have one with that right there. Don't nobody want to be
Trump, cuz. Oh man.
What you mean? Yo, Ray Kwan said he the black Trump. Call me the black Trump. Ray Kwan said that shit in 95.
Yeah. I'm building a wall.
Yeah, building a wall. Let's keep these niggas the fuck up out of here. Keep them the fuck up out of here, B.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna get deported for this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
Keeping them out, man. What's good, y'all? What's good, Pete? What's good?
What's happening?
I just feel like oh man, that's fucked up. That's a fucked up realization. I just feel like this is a choice where it can become jazz or rock. And I'm like, or even something greater. Oh my God, I'm trying to make hip hop great again.
That rings.
Shit.
That kind of rings right there. It has a ring to it.
Yeah.
It has a ring to it.
Oh my God.
What's good? No, what's good, lunch table?
You're gonna have to, instead of going down the parade in a lowrider, you're gonna have to have some sort of something that looks more like a float, where there's like a trailer with a platform and a wall constructed, and you can sit on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It could work.
I'm just, you know what? I'm just scared. You know, Trap, I ain't gonna lie, cuz I swear I'm just genuinely scared. Like, this shit's so great to save my life, and it's gonna make me like a millionaire this year. And I want that for the next dude, you know what I mean, that come from where we come from, that may feel like his life don't have something happening, but if he dedicate the time to this and be true to this, be like a true patriot to hip hop, bro, this shit is going to, like, you can change your life. Like, I don't want this to be taken from the ghettos of America. Like, them dudes from New York made something so great, and it's like, it was for us. Like, and it was like, help us. You feel me? And it's like, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to look up one day and then it's just Kenny G of hip hop. That's what it felt like staring at Drake.
Well, that's why I was just gonna say Kenny G just lost his record deal.
But that's what it felt like staring at Drake, bro. It's like you watching like this nigga play a saxophone over pop beats and everybody in the world declaring that is jazz. He's like, bro, jazz is way more than this.
That was what was such a great line about elevator hip hop that you had coined a couple of years ago.
Elevator
rap.
hip hop.
Elevator rap. Sorry, elevator rap.
Elevator rap. What you mean? What you mean by that?
Rap song that you can play in the elevator.
Okay. Starbucks music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said that a long time ago. I'm like, cuz make elevator rap. Cause like you could be in the elevator and be like, God's plan. You know what I mean? It's like you make elevator, bro. Like hip hop is like hella rambunctious and you know, I always say like when we talked about the Def Jam route, Mount Rushmore, I think I told you, I said it should have been LL Cool J.
You can't go dumb in an elevator. The shit'll stop. You'll get stuck.
It should have been LL Cool J. It should have been, I think it was LL Cool J. It was who else did we say? We said LL Cool J. We said
who did we say? We said LL Cool J.
I know the last argument, it was three people, and it was between Jay-Z and DMX, and it was DMX, and I knew it was DMX. Like I knew it was DMX.
Oh,
like,
you gotta put Redman on that. You gotta put Redman on that.
On a Def Jam Mount Rushmore?
You gotta put Redman on that. On a Mount Rushmore of Def Jam, Redman gotta be on there.
No, I think we did. I know what we did. We did Beastie Boys.
They were Def Jam? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they was. Remember, they was the reason Def Jam could actually sign people.
Yeah, when they went over, when they saw that diamond. So that diamond, yeah. So it was Beastie Boys, LL.
Somebody else that took LL, Beastie Boys, and it was either Public Enemy or Rick. I think it was Public Enemy. But I know. But the point was, the last spot
put Rick before Redman.
We're gonna talk about it. We'll do it on ADHD. We'll pop it up. We'll do it on Spaces after this. We'll do it on Spaces after this.
Yeah, do it. Let's do it.
But what I realized was the last space had to be. It was between we were saying Jay-Z or LL. I mean Jay-Z or DMX. And I realized why DMX needed something. Like I realized why DMX needed to be there. What he represented for hip hop. You know what I mean? What he represented. Like what was going on with his culturally. That's what the catch was. Like Jay-Z is my favorite, but DMX meant more culturally to the Def Jam contribution to hip hop. Like when things were trying to go shiny and rich and money, he became another broke nigga with an opinion and a voice.
But see, at the same time though, I always say like that Jay-Z was able to disguise, you know what I'm saying, street urban culture underneath an Annie sample. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think listen, Jay-Z is it's not about I understand what he does culture. Yeah, it's not no question.
Mm-hmm. But when he did though, I'm saying like within that, like people always heard that Annie sample and was like, oh, it's Annie. But when he was talking about for all my niggas in the 6x4 controlling the house, we live on hard night. Like when he was talking real street shit. So it was like it wasn't much different than what X was saying. It was just that
X spoke for the regular New Yorker. The regular New Yorker. Like not the D-boy.
Nah, it wasn't regular. It wasn't.
It was regular.
I didn't take it as regular though. I took it as grimy New Yorker.
But that's
what he said, regular.
No. Don't put it in that box, motherfucker. We ain't about to do that. We ain't about to do that.
Yeah.
Everybody ain't running around like X. We ain't about to do that. But
you're on the subway and on those motorcycles. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the only way people get around.
But what X did was take us from. See, everybody was so against the shiny suit shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was so against the shit, so that when X came through, it was like so anti-shiny suit that motherfuckers love the shit though. You know what I'm saying? It was so anti-shiny because it was like, yo, everybody hated that shit. But now when you look at it now, we should have appreciated that shit, B.
No, we shouldn't have.
Yes, we should have.
No.
Yeah, why not?
Because
wanna be where
again,
at
we don't
now,
need
didn't appreciate
anything
it.
extra. We don't need anything extra making poor black people feel bad for being poor.
Mm-mm. For motivational purposes only, man.
That's what I was going to say. There's a question.
Yes.
Where's the line between making someone feel bad for being poor and making someone want to strive to put on a suit? Like that I think is a larger scale question.
For motivational purposes only, B. That's what it is.
That's the new thing for rich people bragging to poor people all the time. I'm not riding.
You're
not being inspirational. You're being
That's not new, like 100 years.
Yeah, inspirational.
It's a lot of shit we want to know. It's a lot of shit we want to know about. If one of the motherfuckers putting us on to it, B. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers would have been still wearing fucking army fatigues.
And that's cool. Shout out to El Janelle. Rap makes poor black people feel bad for being poor. That's the problem.
No, it doesn't. No, it
Yes,
doesn't.
it does.
Cut it out, L. Cut it out, L. Cut
That's
it out,
a
L.
fact.
You from Oakland, L. Cut it out, L. Don't do that.
She from Chicago. Don't do that. Don't do what you just did. Don't do what you just did.
Don't do what I just did. What?
She from Chicago.
Listen. Chicago, man. I'm about Chicago. My bad, L.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Crazy.
I'm sorry, Al. I'm sorry, Al. That's my sister.
That's
too.
crazy.
Sorry,
you know what?
Al.
We finna get on Spaces. We finna get
Let's
on
go.
Spaces. I am Miss Tia. Get on Twitter right now. Follow me. I'm finna launch a Spaces. We're gonna have a no ceilings continuation conversation on Spaces. Come join right now. No ceilings live. The lunch
Let me
hour.
get one off real quick.
Okay.
Yo, y'all go and get that Miko. Miko just dropped a new tape today. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fucked up dude because I don't know the name of the damn album. But I'm about to tell y'all right now. Sorry about that. I'm gonna tell y'all right now the name of it is. No, I'm not.
Hit that thumbs up button. Grab the homie Miko shit. Texas in the house.
Yeah. Go follow Miko. Look up Miko. MIQUO.
You know what? Just come on Twitter right now. We'll tell you. Miko spelled MIQUO from Texas. Amazing talent. Check it out. Come to Twitter right now. Just follow me right now. Spaces. We finna get Pete on Spaces. Trap, we on Spaces.
Pete, you good?
We finna continue this conversation right now. Miss Tia, hop on Spaces. You can tell me what you mean when you saying no, stop it. Y'all hop on right now. This is again a No Ceilings Live lunch hour every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time right here on Digital Soapbox. Click the thumbs up button. Click the thumbs up button. Retweet it if you're on Twitter. Share it if you're on Facebook. Again, we do this to support the No Ceilings podcast. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcast from. The No Ceilings podcast, executive produced by Charlemagne the God, the Black Effect Network, and iHeart. Got you. We in this thing. Much love.
Yeah. I was trying to hurry up, man.